I'm joined now by United States Representative Liz Cheney, the chairman of the House Republican Conference. Good morning, Representative Cheney. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Well, good morning, Hugh. Great to be with you, as always.
I will begin and end by talking with you about the Senate race and then talk about Iran in the middle. So my first question, have you made a decision on whether or not you're going to run for senator in Wyoming yet?
I do not have any announcement to make this morning, Hugh.
All right.
I'm checking in.
I'm going to come back to that at the end. Now, last night's debate. I actually turned it off. I could not believe that they went through an entire debate about people who would be president, and they didn't even bring up that Iran had fired volleys of missiles at American troops from Iran into Iraq, threatening the lives of between 1,500 and 5,000 American soldiers. Can you believe they did not even bring it up, Liz Cheney?
I mean, it is stunning that they didn't, but sadly, it's not surprising. I also saw. I didn't watch the whole thing. I haven't been able actually to watch an entire one of any of their debates because they get so dull. But their bench of candidates. I mean, I looked at the people, those folks standing on the stage, and frankly, you can hear this morning in some of the commentary how nervous the Democrats are. They look at that bench and none of those people up there inspire the kind of confidence that you need in terms of making sure that you've got somebody who could be commander-in-chief. And so whether you're talking about, far left socialist views of some of them, the inexperience of others, I mean, it's really it's a field that I think makes you glad not to be a Democrat.
Tom Steyer said we had to cut radically American military spending. Former Vice President Biden suggested that they defeated ISIS. Bernie Sanders went on a rant about American combat troops, as did Elizabeth Warren. It was actually the appeasement caucus got together for a party, and everybody in America got to watch. Yeah,
ridiculous. I mean, look, the idea that Joe Biden says they defeated ISIS, if you go back, as you know, Hugh, and look at what Joe Biden said when they came into office in 2009, when they were coming into office, so basically what they inherited from the Bush administration, the war in Iraq, because of the surge, had been won. The Shiite militias that we're now having to deal with had been largely defeated. Al-Qaeda in Iraq had been largely defeated. The situation was such that Joe Biden talked about, what a tremendous success it had been. And then we went through 8 years of Barack Obama, 8 years of failing to enforce red lines, 8 years of failing to provide our troops with the resources they need, failing to provide the rules of engagement to let them do their job, 8 years of withdrawing based on political circumstances in Washington instead of based on the advice from your commanders on the ground. And that led to the total mess that President Trump inherited. So Joe Biden, is somebody who clearly is trying to rewrite history, and I'm confident that the American people won't buy that.
Now, Congresswoman Cheney, every member on that stage also talked as though the JCPOA had succeeded. They said that many times. That's a lie. They also said they all wished to rejoin it. We had the JCPOA unregulated missiles flying at American troops. At what point does the American media call them on the fact that the JCPOA was a massive failure and, in fact, did send them $1.7 billion in cash?
Yeah. Well, and the JCPOA was exactly the opposite of what all those people on the stage claimed. It did not prevent the Iranian regime from attaining a nuclear weapon. It guaranteed that they would obtain a nuclear weapon. And it did so in a whole range of ways, including by failing to have any kind of responsible verification mechanism. Despite the fact that John Kerry at one point in the negotiations was telling the American people, we'll have anywhere, anytime inspections, you ended up with an agreement that allowed the Iranians to inspect and verify themselves at the sites that we're most concerned about. So it was just absolutely provided false comfort to people that were looking for false comfort, while because of the lack of verification and the sunset clauses, guaranteed the Iranians would have nuclear weapons. So the world is much safer with us out of that deal. and President Trump ought to be applauded for making the decision to walk away from it.
So, Liz Cheney, I want to finish back on whether or not you run for the Senate. It seems to me the ability
I'm
to
so grateful for your commitment to that question.
Well, your ability to make the points you just made is amplified by a seat in the Senate. It is less less availability in the House just because of the nature of the body. Is that weighing on your mind? You are good on this. We need this sort of voice. We've got a lot of good ones like Tom Cotton and others in the Senate who make these points. But is that a consideration in your calculation?
Look, I'm going to do what's best for Wyoming, and obviously this whole set of national security issues is crucial for all Americans. And no matter where I end up, I'm going to continue for as many years as the voters of Wyoming will have me to make sure that I'm a voice on these issues. And I feel like it's just, at the end of the day, these national security issues and making sure we're providing our men and women in uniform with the resources they need is the single most important thing any elected official does. So I'm honored to be part of that discussion.
Senator, soon-to-be Senator Liz Cheney, I'm sorry about that. Congresswoman Liz Cheney, soon-to-be Senator Liz Cheney, thank you for joining us.